Call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation following. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials, grant them the wisdom to know and the courage to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, please.
Allen? Here. LaFour?
Here.
Mr. Ravitch?
Here.
Reindell?
Here.
Ricks?
Here.
Warren?
Here.
Good to see everybody here this evening. Approval of minutes for the regular meeting of December 19th. Motion be in order.
I'll make the motion.
Support?
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion on those? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Audience comments on any non-agenda items? I believe you're on the agenda unless you'd like to say something before move on. Adoption of agenda, Mr. City Manager, any changes?
No changes.
City Council, any changes? If not, motion to approve would be in order.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. There's no discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We have 3 items for consideration this evening. The first one being consideration of City Council vacancy. Mr. City Manager.
The City Council is scheduled to consider filling the vacancy created by accepting Jamie Green's resignation letter. Before you tonight is the charter language that provides guidance to council on your responsibilities after a vacancy is created, essentially stating that you have the authority to appoint somebody to fill the vacancy, and that if you don't do so in 30 days, it will go to a special election.
Thank you. I'd like to move to appoint Jim Schultz to fill the open City Council seat vacated 12/31/22.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Discussion? We pretty much knew Jamie was, after she won the primaries there, we knew that she had a very good chance of moving on to the House, which she certainly has. At that time, I approached Jim Schultz for probably about the 4th time in his career on City Council. If I remember correctly, he started in 1997 on City Council with us and ran for a number of years, somewhere around 14, Jim? About 14 years?
16 out of 18.
Total.
Yeah, 14 as Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, as Mayor Pro Tem, that's what it was, okay. He had been on, as Council remembers, he did fill for Councilor LaFour's position for 6 months. That was just in 2021. Certainly has had the support of the citizens of the community. Every time he ran, he did very well in the elections at City Council. He's always had the respect of City Council. Many people have sat here over the years. Jim has always had the respect and certainly has given a lifetime of service to our community through the fire department and many other different ways. Sits on the Wellhead Protection Committee for a number of years now, actively. The other thing that Jim has always done, he's always supported the majority decision, whether he agreed with it or not, which is something that some of us have to do sometimes. But he's always been that way, where once it's done and it's voted on, then he moves on. He doesn't keep on bringing it back at us. But on the other side of that, he's not afraid to speak his mind. He certainly represents a large group of people in our community, and we've got a lot to accomplish this year. We've set a pretty fast pace here. We've been doing really well as a city council, and with Jamie gone now, I believe we need somebody that can hit the ground running. Jimmy's got the experience and the will to do this, and it's for 11 months and until the next election. So instead of wasting taxpayers' dollars and holding an election, which I think, John, somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000.
Yeah, it was probably $5,000 10 or 15 years ago, the last time we
When I
we
saw that
checked.
number, I thought you might be a little
Yeah,
low.
I'm sure we're low
Yeah.
on the cost of that election, yes. And I'm sure it's in excess of $5,000.
So I think Jimmy's going to be the guy, and he's proved that every other time he's come back. When we've asked him, he has come back. Either he has run or he's filled vacancies for us, and he's willing to do it this time also. So I hope we can support him in this endeavor. Any other comments?
I would just add to everything that you said, concur with it. One thing also is the consistency, since Jim was recently on the council, with all of us here at the table, with the exception of Dennis, but Dennis has worked with Jim before. So I think that, and just because he's the most recent council member, obviously, since Jamie left before that, it makes sense just to have him come back on and kind of fill that spot. So, and then he did a great job last time, and as he's done throughout his city council career. So really welcome him back to the table.
Mr. Schultz, do you have anything to say, sir, before we go to a vote?
No, I do not, Mr. Mayor.
What about your wife? Does she have?
She's here.
No.
I think we should just pass on that.
Yeah. No, she's always supported you, Jim, and always supported the city council, and we've always appreciated that, because it takes a lot of support from the spouse to give up the time and whatnot to serve here. So, any other comments? Any other comments from the audience? Being not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Jim, would you come up and take the oath of office from the clerk?
You can raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully perform
and that I will faithfully perform
the duties of the office of
the duties of the office of
City Councilor
City Councilor
in and for the City of Richmond,
in and for the City of Richmond,
Counties of Macomb and St. Clair,
Counties of Macomb and St. Clair,
and State of Michigan,
and State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Would you take a seat up here, please? We look forward to working with you, Jim.
Welcome back. Thank you.
Item number 2 is consideration of drinking water asset management grant. John?
2 years ago, or roughly 2 years ago, we had applied for the drinking water asset management grant, and originally in the funding, it looked like we had fallen short. And then when the state of Michigan was awarded all of the money through the American Rescue Plan, they did funnel some more of their grant funding through this program. So then, about 6 months ago, Jim received correspondence from Eagle that we are awarded close to $500,000 in grant funding through federal money through the state. And it's for, again, drinking water asset management. They have several assist communities with the completion of a distribution systems and material inventory. The creation of a drinking water asset management plan, and the purchase of equipment necessary to perform either of those duties. So essentially, we're going to be able to get roughly 25% of the cost of our sewer cleaner truck that we purchased a couple of years ago, as well as starting on an asset management plan. And then we'll use the sewer cleaner to go out and investigate just service lines to make sure that we don't have any lead service lines on the system. And so by using the Vector truck, we'll be able to kind of suck right down to the line, see what it is, and not tear up everyone's front yard. So it's a very good grant to get. I'm very happy that Jim had applied for it and that ultimately we did receive funding. But now comes the paperwork. And so before you tonight is all the paperwork, and we need to authorize myself to sign all the documents.
Very good, thank you. Jim, would you like to add anything?
Just to make sure it's clear, there is no matching component to this, but it's I hate to call it a mandate, but it is a task that we were obligated to complete, which is our service line inventory, and this is a significant benefit to the city by covering the majority of the expense.
Thank you. Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make a motion to designate city manager as the individual authorized to sign the drinking water assessment management grant agreement between the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, and the city of Richmond.
Support.
Motion made and supported. Is there any discussion? Congratulations, number one, for getting the grant. That's huge. Almost $500,000, especially against that truck.
Yeah.
It's a very expensive
Yes.
truck, but very necessary to have, but that certainly helps the budget here. The question I do have is, it's $265,000 it says for DSMI, and I'm not sure what everything stands for, but my question is, it's to verify water service line materials. We've all heard about the lead lines.
Lead,
and
yep.
how some communities are just full of lead lines.
Yep.
So we're going to go and find out by excavating?
Yes, and so as the city manager had mentioned, the most efficient way to do that is through hydro excavating, it's called, and that's where we're able to justify a portion of the purchase price for the combination sewer truck, where we just, using water jet and a vacuum, it sucks down and exposes the service line. So it's essentially the part just behind the sidewalk, the pipe that goes to each individual house. So we are required to identify, to expose and physically identify 25% of all unknown service lines in the city. So city, we currently through our records are able to identify about half of the lines we have in town. The other half, we're required to inspect 25% to kind of get a sampling of what's in town and hopefully to find some consistency in what materials are there. And at this point, we're not aware of any lead service lines in our excavation. So far, we haven't identified any, so we're optimistic that that's the case for our residents' benefit and as a community expense, to replace lead service lines. But
Okay, so lead service, would that be from our connection to their house?
the house,
what
yeah,
it's going to be?
there's certainly they're still kind of working through some of that, but the investigation has multiple components, and we have to physically verify the part within the right-of-way, a portion of the line, and a portion of the line outside of the right-of-way. There's really, you can kind of divide it into two pieces, but regardless, if lead is found, currently it would be the water department's obligation to replace it all the way to the house. Based on the way the law was written. And again, this is primarily due to lead, Flint kind of prompted a lot of this as far as a tough stance on it. But it is ultimately a benefit to any community that has lead service lines. You do want to get rid of them. Again, fortunately, the City of Richmond doesn't appear to have a history of that, and so we expect this will be confirming what we already know.
So that was my end question, and you answered it. There would be no cost, if found, there would be no cost to the property owner for the
Correct.
replace of the...
At least the way it's interpreted right now.
Yeah, okay. All right, great. That's even better. Any other discussion on this item? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Item number 3 is consideration of city clerk's attendance at the MAMC Institute. Mr. City Manager.
City Council is being requested to consider approving the city clerk's attendance at the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks Institute in Mount Pleasant this coming spring. And This is similar to the program that our public service directors have gone to. Also, currently, our treasurer is going through the Michigan Treasurers Association. It's a kind of 1 week per year for 3 years. You go through this training and then are certified as a municipal city clerk with Heather coming on from kind of the library side of municipal government. We feel this would be very important for her to start sooner rather than later, although she's done a great job handling the first 2 elections. So, I think kind of she's done a great job learning herself, but this will kind of teach her a lot of the other elements of the clerk's position. So, although it wasn't in the budget, we feel it's important to get going this year rather than wait a year. So,
Heather, anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, first of all, this is my first official opportunity to thank City Council for allowing me to represent the city as clerk. So it's been a fantastic time so far, and I'm always looking for the opportunity to learn. So at this point, speaking with other clerks in St. Clair County, Macomb County, they're really, they've indicated that this Clerk Institute is the way to go, and just a way to network and get the information that I need to represent the city even better than I can.
Very good. Very good. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to amend the clerk's line item, training and education from $550 to $1,750.
Support.
Motion made and supported. Any discussion on that item? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We have a second motion.
I make a motion to approve the registration for City Clerk Heather McAllister to attend the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks Annual Clerk Institute in Mount Pleasant, Michigan in March of 2023.
Support.
Motion made and supported. Any discussion on this item? I think it's a great idea that you get there. Do you have to wait all 3 years? I mean, I see some of the dates in here that people are in their second and third are
So-
like a week apart.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's always the same rotation, so nobody is receiving any new information if you start coming the first year versus the third year, they're covering new material. So with that being said, nobody really has a leg up, per se, other than physical experience in the position.
Okay. Anything else, council? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we move on to miscellaneous matters from the city manager, sir.
I have none tonight.
Okay. Council comments. Dennis?
Nothing tonight, other than welcome, Jim.
Welcome to Jim. Jim?
I would like to thank the council. It is an honor to set up at this table again. I'm glad that you have the confidence in me to fill the seat. Thank you very much.
You bet. Emily?
I'm all set, thank you.
Huh? John? Nothing. Rob?
Nothing.
Michael?
I'm all good, thank you.
Okay, I hope everybody had a great holiday season. January starts a whole new year for us, as I mentioned earlier. We've got a lot of things on the table to get accomplished this year, and hopefully, again, we can all work together to accomplish those things for the benefit of our entire community. Calendar-wise, today being Tuesday the 3rd, our next regular city council meeting is on the 16th at 7 o'clock right here. We'll be taking down Christmas decorations at 8 a.m. This Sunday, the 8th, if anybody would like to volunteer. The library board will meet on the 9th at 5:30. The planning commission will meet on the 12th at 7 o'clock. EDC will meet a week later on the 19th at 7 o'clock. And TIFA this month will meet on the 25th at 7 o'clock. Those meetings are all open to the public. If you have any questions, you can call City Hall, 7571?
Yes.
Yeah, 727-7571. Also, we have a couple announcements here, of course. There is a event going on at the library. It's called Pierogi is on the Menu. It's on Saturday, March 4th. It's to learn how to make handmade traditional pierogies. There is a cost involved. Any questions, call Park and Rec at 727-3064. Beginners Yoga is starting also. at the Parks and Rec. It's going to be Mondays and Wednesdays for 1 hour, 6 to 7 o'clock. And it's $6 drop-in per person, or you can get a deal on a punch card. Again, any questions, 727-3064. Evidently, library is lagging behind here because we don't have anything from them yet. Okay, we move on to the agenda. I lost my agenda now. What do you do with it, Rob?
I don't know, but you can borrow this one.
Can I? Yeah. Wait, there it is. Let's see, we do have a closed session. We need to have a motion to move into that closed session.
I'll make the motion to convene into closed session in accordance to Section 8C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act, Public Act 267 of 1976, as amended, for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement as requested by administration.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? Being not, roll call.
Allen?
Yes.
Green? Sorry. Before?
Yes.
Habits? Mistarovich?
Yes.
Rindell?
Yes.
Ricks?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
Schultz.
Schultz?
Yes.
Motion does pass. We'll go into closed session. We'll take a 5-minute break.